Really good.
Robert, two questions. The first one on the bipartisanship issue. I mean, you have the president coming out saying that he wants to work together, but just moments later you have Republican leaders coming out saying that the White House just wants to blame Republicans, saying that this administration just doesn't get it. I mean, how do you move forward together if that's the climate coming out of this meeting?
Well, I think you come together understanding this. I mean, look, the American people have watched for decades the blame game, all right? If the blame game put people to work, we'd all be rolling in money. The blame game, I'm glad some people want to continue playing the blame game. That doesn't work. That doesn't get anybody a job. It doesn't cut people's taxes. It is time. I think I will say the president, has the president been frustrated about this? Absolutely. We took some extraordinary actions. We wish there would have been more Republican support for taking those actions in pulling our economy back from an economic cliff, falling into another Great Depression. Setting all that aside, we are now at a certain point where we have got to begin to fill in the enormity of the hole that this economic downturn created. The president is willing to work with Democrats and Republicans. And again, I think it was important that the president started out the meeting by mentioning that two of the ideas that the president had talked about in his speech, two of the three ideas, were ideas that have traditionally enjoyed bipartisan support. We heard throughout the recovery debate that there needed to be more money put into infrastructure. That's what the president outlined. We've heard even as up to recently as the past few days, we have to help small businesses get access to capital, cut their taxes, ensure that we're doing all that they can to create an environment for them to hire more. The president agrees. I think it's time that everybody took yes for an answer.
But if the attitude is that this administration doesn't get it, is this administration then willing to try to navigate this alone?
The president will do what has to be done to help the American people. The president is hopeful through this meeting today that Republicans agree. But again, if the president outlines ideas that the Republicans have previously supported, and then the Republicans seem unwilling to support the ideas they supported then now, you can leave it up to others to judge why it is they don't want to participate in a solution that we all agree, and we've said in the past, would put people back to work.
They say they can't sign on to spending more money. That's all. They say he's fiscally irresponsible.
Well, rich, given the fact that the largest driver in our fiscal irresponsibility were a series of programs that weren't paid for, right? Tax cuts in 2001 and 2003 that weren't paid for, a Medicare prescription drug benefit that wasn't paid for, wars in Iraq and Afghanistan that weren't paid for. Again, the debate that we're having on health care now is partly about how to pay for it. The second leading driver in our fiscal irresponsibility has been the downturn in the economy, okay? As I said earlier, we are not going to find ourselves lifted out of our fiscal situation if our economy contracts at 6 or 6.5% a quarter. There isn't an economist on the planet that you could find that would say, yes, your economy can contract at 6.5% a quarter, 6.4% a quarter, and you'll be able to live your way out of a budget deficit or increasing debt. That's what the president believes. That's why the president believes we have to take some further steps to ensure that we get back to economic growth, but also that we get back to a medium and long-term recipe for fiscal responsibility. Yes, ma'am.
I have an unrelated question on the military. At West Point last week, the president talked about signing a letter of condolence to the family of each American who gives their life in Iraq or Afghanistan. What about the families of military personnel who take their own lives? Right. Does the president believe that those families deserve a letter of condolence as well?
Well, the president believes that the previous policy that